What up, YouTube? As you know, we had the Dak Prescott entrance coming in. Enjoy Cancun, Dak. This one's all about betting odds, parlays, over unders. We will start off with the first game on Saturday: Texans versus Ravens, divisional round. It will be 22 degrees, expecting light snow, wind about 16 miles per hour. They're saying uh, it's gonna be cold. They asked D'Amico Ryans what he thought. He said, "Well, luckily it was cold here, so he had all his guys practice in the cold, and then they're gonna keep practicing in the cold as they get over there." So,
I'm so conflicted on what's gonna happen. I am, man, because like you think back to the last we played each other in the regular season, but it was week 1.
Hmm.
At this point, none of that matters, and the teams are completely different. Like we're way better than we were, but so are they. So it's hard to tell how it's gonna play out.
And people who say that Stroud can't handle the Ravens defense, it's like, well, you just went against arguably the top defense in the NFL last week and see how that turned
Mm-hmm.
out. Yeah, Flacco kind of helped that a little bit, but it's not like the Ravens are that much better defensively than Cleveland.
These are some points I want to bring up because these are facts that I know about Houston. We played them week 1, right? Maybe a week before that, we literally lost our starting center and our left guard. So that was the most band aid our line was the whole season. They blitzed the shit out of their linebackers so early in that game that we didn't know what to do. That's why that score was as bad as it was. But our O line is better. To James's point, we just played a better defense than you, so we should be able to at least hold your D line. And as far as Stroud playing in the cold, he played at fucking Ohio State. I'm not trying to hear it. He'll be just fine. I think the game is going to be closer than it was the last time.
I mean, and then you look at Lamar in the playoffs, is 1-3. And some of those games were when he was super young, but I remember that one game against Buffalo where he threw that big pick six against Teron Johnson. And it's like, yeah, he's better than he was, but that was coming off of I believe that was coming off of his first MVP year. So to say that Lamar is just going to flip the switch and figure out the playoffs, it's like, well, will he? I mean, Stroud's only played in one game where he looked very comfortable. And then you have Lamar with his playoff baggage. It's kind of like we talked about last week with the Cowboys, like all the pressures on the Ravens. Not as much as the Cowboys, but still, there's quite a bit of pressure because you're the 1 seed. Um, the question with Lamar is that's hanging around. It's almost like Joel Embiid, where can he finish in the playoffs where it matters? And so far, the answer is no. And if he loses to Houston, that MVP is going to feel so empty that he'll probably win this year because he couldn't win a single playoff game. I'm conflicted too, though. The line's 9.5. It seems too good to be true. Like it's a lot of points, but like it seems suspicious. It's almost like
It would have been this. It's the same trap we would have fell into last week with the Buffalo plus 10 or minus 10. You know what I mean? Like because that shit in garbage time ended up being a lot closer than it had to been. And this has, as far as betting goes, this has the same ability to do the same. So 9.5, that's a weird number to me.
yeah, like the Steelers shot themselves in the foot so many times in that game where that should have been a one-score game, and Josh Allen remarkably didn't turn the ball over. But in this game, the Ravens are pretty good at moving the ball, running the clock. That I said it before we recorded. I could see it being 31-21 or 34-24, like a good game. The Texans just don't have enough at the end to keep up with everything the Ravens have. I'm inclined to. I don't want to do it, but I think I'm going to take the Ravens 9.5.
I'm going to take Houston. I'm going to take Houston covering that 9.5, and I'm going to tell you why. If you go back to when CJ came back from the concussion, Tennessee, Colts, Cleveland, the one thing that Houston has been able to do on defense is we take away your strength. In the sense, like, they take the basketball approach, you have a guy who can, like, score in the post or shoot the three and you say, pick your poison. That's kind of what Houston's been doing. It's like, all right, I'm going to give you something to beat me with, but can you do it? If Houston can neutralize the tight ends on Baltimore, I believe that they can cover the receivers in the running game, which means more punts from Baltimore. Houston can have the ability to try to make the big play, which Baltimore might give you because that's probably how you're only going to score on them because your secondary's beat up. So cross your fingers for Nico Collins. Uh, I think Houston can keep it within a touchdown or so.
Yeah, I think it's very much a possibility. The over-under is 43.5. I actually think when the Ravens win, they win. Like they blow the doors off the team. So I think if this game's going over, it's going to be in a Ravens, maybe not a blowout, but a decisive win. So if you like the Texans in this game, I like Texans with the under. I think the Texans
Exactly.
could be in it, especially if it's low scoring. I think that favors them if it's, I don't know, like let's say it's 13-13 going in the fourth quarter, and you're forcing both these quarterbacks to make plays when they have to. I actually kind of like the Texans in that environment there. So, I think Texans in the under or Ravens in the over. And I know that sounds simplistic. It's like home and away favorite and whatever, but
Because that's literally how the game is going to go. It's like if Baltimore does it, it's going to be commanding, and they're going to put points. They're going to cover the 43. Uh, and like Houston keeps it close, and we or win the game. It's like it's going to be a dogfight, and it's crazy to say that we're going to go to Baltimore and try to win a dogfight to get to the next round because that's kind of what they do. But you're right, that's our best chance of doing it, and I'll take Houston covering the 9.5 and under 43.
yeah, you can even tease that close to plus money if it was like Texans plus 14, under 48 or 49. I would love that. I don't. I'd feel pretty good about that.
Does the weather and the wind projection and everything draw anything for y'all? Like, because everything I keep hearing is everybody's like, don't expect deep balls in that weather with the wind, the way it's going to be blowing that day. I mean, it's a day game, so it's a little different, but it's still going to be freezing cold over there.
Right. It's not going to be as cold as some of the games last week, but to your point, he played at Ohio State. And Stroud has a cannon. He can zip the
I
ball.
was gonna say, they said it on CBS the other day when Pat Mahomes was playing. They were like, "We seen Pat Mahomes in as windy as the stadium can get, and that wind didn't have shit on the spin. So like, if you could spin a ball, you could spin a ball. Obviously, you're not trying to hang one at 50 and let the receiver run underneath it. But I still think CJ, like James said, like I got 35 on a line if I need it. You know what I mean?
And Lamar's improved as a passer throughout his career, but he's still not. I don't think he's a top 5 level passer. I think if the weather, if anything, favors Houston's passing ability more than the Ravens, it might force the Ravens to have to run it more. But it could be a little bit like the KC game, where if the Texans neutralize the run and they make Lamar have to pass, and then if they don't trust Lamar to throw downfield, it could be a little bit similar to that.
If I'm Houston, that's exactly what I do. Is I'm gonna make you beat me with your arm. I'm gonna put another player in the box, and I might spy Lamar most of the game. And the most important thing is like somebody stick to Andrews like glue, because that's the only thing that scares me about this game. Baltimore's offense is what their tight ends are gonna do.
Do you think he's playing then? Game time decision?
That'd be stupid to not. I mean, because you got Likely. Also, it doesn't matter. Houston gave up a lot of passes to all 3 tight ends last week. We've just been like, tight ends eat us up all year. That's just the way it is. And they use theirs a lot, so their strength against our weakness, but it is what it is.
I'm going to call it Lamar's throwing 2 interceptions.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
I had them all year in fantasy. It's a gut feeling. I haven't had anything. I haven't had Taco Bell in a week, so I know it ain't that. So,
all right, I got Houston covering 9.5 under 43. I'll take that bet.
I guess I'm going Ravens 9.5. I don't feel great about it, but if I had to pick between the two, yeah, and then I'll go over in that case. So opposites.
One of us is going to make some money.
Well, it's gonna be split. It's gonna be like Ravens and the under or some shit.
Yeah, Ravens and the under.
for Texans in the. I mean, you wouldn't care if the Texans covered and won and it went over.
Nope. Sure wouldn't.
I just had to pick one team to cover because I really like all the underdogs this week.
I figure.
I get it, though.
All right, what we got for the PM game on Saturday?
Another one, another first. Jordan Love and the Packers go to San Francisco. They're saying 57 degrees, light rain as of right now, depending on the day of that nighttime. Yeah, not too crazy.
So also at 9.5, right?
Yep, 50.5 over under. Seems
50?
high. Yep.
I don't think so.
You don't think it seems high, or?
I was expecting a lot of points to be scored in this game. Like, my gut feeling tells me there's going to be, man, don't hate me for this, bro, but I think the Niners are going to score a lot of points in this game. I don't. I feel like y'all are going to do what Houston is going to do, is y'all are going to sell out on stopping one thing and the other thing might beat you, you know?
I don't trust Joe Barry going against Shanahan. I don't think anyone.
But that's my thing. I expect a lot of, like, quickly timed routes for Ayuk and Debo, and maybe, you know, like, they're going to get a lot of yards after the catch, I feel like. Like, no disrespect to Packers fans, but it feels like they felt like they won the Super Bowl last week.
It is a big win, and it does bring up a good point of the hangover, I guess, from that win. It's a young team, and they were pretty hyped after that win, as they should be, but can they then regroup in time to play the best team in the NFC? I don't know. I've seen this Niners team beat the shit out of the Packers in the playoffs before, and that's with Rodgers. I've also seen when the Packers were the 1 seed, Garoppolo came into Lambeau and won 10-3 or whatever dog shit ugly game that was. That's the formula in a weird way the Packers are going to have to try to do to beat this team, is keep it ugly. Purdy's got to turn it over. I think they're undefeated when he doesn't turn it over, and below 500 when he does. So
yeah,
forcing him to turn it over. I think the Packers have the superior quarterback in the game, which is awesome. But if you can do what the Ravens did against the Niners, but obviously the Ravens defense is far superior to the Packers. I just think the Packers have enough playmakers on offense, and this is bias or whatever. I think they have enough playmakers on offense to keep it close. And if they do get down, unlike those Rodgers teams towards the end that didn't have any offense, I think that these guys could keep it close, especially if Aaron Jones gets rolling a little bit. They're a little susceptible to the run. I like the Packers to cover. Shocker.
I think we're about to have a reversal of roles from the last game. I think you're going the homer route. I had San Francisco minus 9.5 over 50. And I'm not saying the Packers are going to have a good game. I just think the Niners are going to put up some points.
I think that's a possibility. Kind of like the first game. If the Niners win, I could see it being 42-24. Not a blowout, but a decisive victory, maybe 2 or 3 scores.
But let's just be 100. Going into the Dallas game, the thing we talked about was y'all didn't have the best secondary, right? That's fair to say. Jair showed up. There's no way he could physically offer you that same level of play this week.
He might be hurt. Or he is hurt.
That's what I'm saying. You take that off, and then that means you're giving an elite playmaker like Valentine or somebody. Yeah, you know what I mean? I just think that they're going to move the ball easy, and that's how fucking San Francisco beats people, man. They get you second-guessing your game plan, and then you change something, and then it's we'll do the other thing. So I just think they have too much. No disrespect to the Packers. I'm a Packers fan. I love that team. But San Francisco's got it.
That's fair, but I also think the beginning of the game is going to mean more than a normal game. If the Packers choose to receive again, or if the Niners defer or whatever, and they put together a successful scoring drive to start, that's going to be huge. But where the Niners definitely have the big advantages is defense and also special teams. I don't trust the Packers kicker, the rookie from the Swedish rookie from Auburn. He wasn't good in college percentage-wise. So when we drafted him, I was like, we just drafted him because he's related to the other Carlson. which I think is why, because he's very hit or miss. He can nail it from 55, but he can also miss extra points. So in this kind of game, that's going to matter, especially if it's a little bit rainy. God, I'm praying for a good game. I really am.
Don't get me wrong. I would love to be wrong and have Aaron Jones go for 225 and 2 touchdowns because I'm a fan of his. But like you said, that San Fran defense, at least the front 7, they're stout. But to your point, Dobbs and Wick and all them other cats, they might get loose on the backside because that's secondary for San Fran. It really ain't shit.
Could be Watson's re-breakout.
Could be.
Your boy. Be. Yeah, if the Niners win, I think it's going to be like 35-21. I think they cover if they win. So what I'm hinting at, I think the Packers will be frisky. If the Packers win, though, it'd be lower scoring. It'd be like 20-17. It'd be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like last week at all. An interesting bet, just putting this out in the universe. If you think the Packers have a chance this week, and this may sound really stupid next week if the Niners just beat the shit out of them, which is possible. Plus 950 to make the Super Bowl.
Plus 950.
So that's saying I like that bet if you think they're going to beat the Niners. Because if you think they're going to beat the Niners, that's saying then they would ride into Detroit or Tampa.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with that rationale. Because, you're basically... Damn, that's kind of, disrespectful to Detroit and Tampa. But I get your train of thought. Though.
This is really audacious coming from a Packer fan, but it kind of feels like this is the NFC title game.
Well, because you know that there's not another team to play that's harder to get to the Super Bowl.
I honestly feel the Niners would beat the shit out of Detroit or Tampa.
I think they could beat Detroit, but I think they'll beat the shit out of Tampa. But I that's why I said, damn, that's disrespectful to Detroit because it was I know what y'all did to them on Thanksgiving, but that would be a motivating factor to Detroit.
Yeah. Packers going into Detroit for the NFC title again, that would be $1,000 to get in. That'd be insane. But fuck it, Packers cover. I'll go down with that ship.
I don't blame you, my brother, but I like to win money, so I'm going San
Fran.
San Fran minus 9.5 and over 50.
Joe Barry's driving the ship. We'll see if he avoids the iceberg.
Y'all's literally switched roles. It's amazing. All right, we don't have no dogs in these next fights, so
we're completely unobjective.
Yeah, make what you will of those first two.
Yeah, Sunday, we start off. We got Buccaneers in Detroit indoors, so no weather problems. No real big injuries as of right now.
What's the line on that?
6.5 and 49.5. Can you talk me out of? I'm not buying Baker Mayfield stock, but that dude has the most irrational confidence of anyone in the NFL. He thinks he's better than he is, but that in a weird way actually could help him here. Where Goff,
that in a weird way is why they're here, though.
Yeah, where Goff has self-esteem issues and is never quite sure of himself. And Detroit, just like the Packers, are coming off of a highly emotional win last week, first playoff win since the first Bush was president or whatever it was. And now it's we have this dog shit NFC South champ coming in who just beat an even more dog shit Eagles team. But this Baker Mayfield, who only throws it as hard as he can. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-yard pass or a 30-yard pass. He throws it as hard as he can to try to show he has power. He just doesn't touch. But I kind of like Mike Evans just going off.
See, that's the easy narrative to me because I thought that the same thing is the receivers for Tampa murdering the Detroit secondary. That's easy. But then I was I think Tampa's defense looked better than it actually is this past week because Philly just was shit. You know what I mean? If we're being completely honest, Devonta, he kind of got open when he wanted to, which means Amon-Ra could get open, Josh Reynolds can get open. Detroit's receivers might have a good day. I'm picking Detroit to win this game. I'll take Detroit minus 6.5. I think they win by more than a touchdown.
we all picked the Rams last week, and honestly, I don't think McVay is getting enough shit for punting on fourth and what was it, 4th and 10, 4th and 12
Yeah,
late.
something like that.
You have one timeout left. Stafford's been cooking most of the game. I think you have to go for it. You're down one, so even if you give up a field goal, you still have a chance. I think that was stupid. I kind of think the Rams outplayed the Lions for stretches of that game. I just feel a little hangover coming. They won what was basically their Super Bowl last week, and Tampa literally has nothing to lose. Baker's playing with this huge chip on his shoulder. Yeah, they're not great, but could they get blown out? Sure, but I kind of like them to cover here. Whether they win or not, whatever. But like Lions 31-27, the Lions couldn't put away the Rams, and the Rams were pretty one-dimensional when Kieran got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And where the Bucs don't have an explosive offense by any means, I just don't trust Jared Goff in big games. He didn't really win.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Stafford outplayed him last week. I think the Lions have a great path to get to the NFC title game, which is great for them. They got the Rams and now the Bucs, but I could see them looking ahead, especially because it's a Sunday game. It'll be like, oh, damn, we got the Niners next week, or oh, man, the Packers are coming back. I could see them looking ahead to the next week, especially with the Packers. And Jared Goff just getting in his own head, Dan Campbell doing a fake punt from his own 20. I could see all that not working, and Tampa just meticulously wins an ugly game, and then Detroit fans go back to bags on their head or whatever they're doing.
I get that. That's a good story and all, but I don't know, man. You know what? Because like to watch Detroit rally around that, like the team rally around itself and their coach and what they're trying to do it's reminiscent of what Houston is doing. You know what I'm saying? Like for instance, Houston, they got hurt late in the season. CJ misses 2 games. We look like dog shit. Oh, we're not making the playoffs. We're tanking, yada, yada, yada. He comes back. We win the division. Same thing with them. When they had the bullshit in Dallas where they should have won that game, I feel like that was a motivating factor for the team, and they rallied around each other, and they have momentum that they've been riding since then. Opposed to Tampa, I was like, you fuckers are just playing with house money right now, because those other underachieving teams in that division shouldn't have let you get this far.
Yeah.
To be honest, you know what I mean. So to your point, Tampa has nothing to lose, which means they're coming out swinging. But you know, Mayweather wouldn't have swung on Tyson, so you're out of your weight class, buddy.
I think we both like the over, though, right? 49.5.
Was no.
You like the under?
Yeah, I do, because I don't think Tampa's going to put up points. I really don't.
So who do you trust more? We're doing the opposite on every pick.
It's for the content, bro. Nah, I really don't. Because that's what Tampa does, is they win ugly games.
I think like Baker wants to be progressive commercials again. He misses it.
This is going to be one of them bullshit 27-13 games or something.
Just like a win, yeah. The Lions.
Yeah, it's just like a week 11 game for, you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be nothing pretty.
The whole fourth quarter, they'll be talking about who that team's playing next week.
It's because like you said, like I don't trust Goff no more than you do. I just trust him more than I trust Baker. And also,
if the Packers pull off the improbable, I think that fucks with the Lions' head.
A little, it might. It just might.
So yeah, if the Niners blow out the Packers, then I can see that.
It would be the equivalent to what we just did to Cleveland. Is we shipped our dumbass quarterback off to you for a haul, and then he gets hurt, and then we beat you in the playoffs, and now you're stuck with him. You know what I mean? So like, it's the same thing. It's like it's just the way the story should end. Like, Detroit did all these phenomenal things. They made it to the NFC title game. Maybe they haven't did this in 40 years yet, but they fucking lost to the Packers, and the Packers went to the Super Bowl. That would be hilarious, bro.
It would be. But it would also be kind of hilarious if Baker Mayfield comes in and wins. I don't think the Bucs are going to win. I like them to cover. I think it's going to be close. Like I said, I could see the Lions winning by 4 points or something like that. So I like the Lions to win outright. You could tease them down if you want. Like Lions to win over 42 or under 56, whichever way you want to go. There's a little part of me that wants to pick Tampa money line, but no, I like them to cover.
Little part. Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's like my left arm. Remember my knee? My knee that Dan Campbell tried to bite off. That has Tampa Bay.
I'm just glad they're playing that game first.
Yeah,
I'm looking for better football this weekend, bro. I can't take more blowouts. I thought that was one of the shittiest wild card weekends I ever seen.
It was. With all those matchups, the only close game was Detroit, and that was a good game, but it wasn't like an all-timer. It ended with 3 knees.
I mean, if you like the Texans and you hated the Cowboys, it was pretty good, funny.
Yeah, we got the results we wanted, but
it was a funny week. It wasn't like, oh man, this is some great football. I'm gonna sit down all day. It was like, oh, what can I do while this blowouts? They're talking about Thanksgiving turkey legs during the freaking Cowboys blowout.
Oh, the Eagles game was borderline unwatchable. That was regular.
You know what? I was even more so pissed off about the Buffalo game. Because as the Buffalo game was starting, our city was getting shut down because it was freezing. So we were like, sweet, we'll all go home and watch football. And then this bullshit happens early, and it's like, oh, now we're stuck in the house watching.
I was watching the Food Network halfway through the game. That game sucked.
Yeah.
Well, there is another game.
What we got?
Bills, Chiefs, rematch. They always seem to put on a show. It's going to be cold again in Buffalo. Not as cold as it was last time. 20 degrees. First time Mahomes goes away. They're asking for shovelers, though. They still need shovelers back at the stadium to help shovel snow.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, both of these guys can play in the snow. Both these teams know how to play in the cold, as we saw last week. So,
What's the line on this?
2.5. Bills minus 2.5.
Wow.
So the Bills have won the last few in this rivalry, but the Chiefs have won all the playoff matchups, which were all in Arrowhead. But now it's in Buffalo. First off, I just want to say, like, it's kind of crazy that Mahomes hasn't played a road playoff game, but if you think that is going to be the deciding factor in this game, I think you're crazy because he's Patrick Mahomes. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, shit, this is a different stadium. What do I do? He's Patrick Mahomes.
Didn't Buffalo just beat Kansas City in the game where Kadarius Toney was offsides? So technically, KC should have won that game also.
But that's what's messing with my head. Like, is there bad karma from the Chiefs, like, freaking out after that game? Because it makes me not want to root for either of them, to be honest. Because usually I'd be like, I kind of hope the Chiefs just go in there. But after, like, being such bad sports about it, but fuck it, I'm still picking the Chiefs. I'm picking
the Chiefs to cover that. I'm picking the Chiefs to win. They're going to cover that. I'll take the Chiefs plus 2.5. Look, listen, the man of faith I am, the Lord has given me the ability to know good football and bad football players. Josh Allen is going to do something to cost his team the game, and I'm going to laugh when he does. It's like we're going to get good football and then watch someone shoot themselves in the foot like we did last week in the wild card.
Is Tooney playing? Or Tony, whoever the hell his name. I forget.
I don't know.
Because if he is, and that's kind of an X factor also, because they could cancel each other out. Because if he like fumbles the ball and then Josh Allen,
he causes interceptions even when it's on his hands.
They healthy scratched him last week. They were like, hey, we're not gonna give you a chance to screw up. So,
I mean, just watching what Pittsburgh did against Buffalo in the middle of the field, I mean, they can just show it where Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce and Mike could win. And Pacheco gives them 100.
The Steelers really were in that game more than the score shows. If it wasn't for the stupid fumbles and these fluke plays like the Pickens fumble, that's a game. And the Steelers didn't even have a quarterback. And they were in that game without TJ Watt. They were in that game. And now you have the Chiefs who honestly last week their offense looked better than it has been all season. And that was in sub-zero weather. Mahomes was slinging it. It's going to be warmer than it was last week, so the Buffalo cold won't mean shit. And you're right. Josh Allen made no mistakes last week.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds Josh Allen goes mistakeless 2 weeks in a row? I don't see it.
The thing about it is like star power only gets you so far. Josh Allen, it seems like they do shit for him to get him to pat. and then Pat gets the calls. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just like I don't know, like the late hit on the slide with Josh Allen last week is like you might not get that call this week, bro.
No, and this is where I like the Chiefs. Better quarterback, not by a ton. Allen's a elite quarterback, but not Mahomes. Better defense. The Chiefs' defense is healthier and just better than the Bills. And they've been in these games before, and they've come out the victors every time in the playoffs. I'm not like saying the Chiefs are going to get hot and make the Super Bowl this year, but I am saying until the Bills can prove they can exercise this demon, I'm not picking them.
Mm-mm.
And if they
Well, I
lose,
can tell you this
fine.
about Buffalo. Like, their interior D-line right now is playing elite. I'll give them that.
Ed Oliver, your Houston guy.
Ed Oliver, yeah, and the guy, I forgot the guy next to him. And they have one linebacker who's playing really well. So, that if that affects Pacheco, it might affect the game.
I mean, they did nothing but draft pass rushers for like 4 straight seasons. They Epinesa, and then they Oliver, and then they just kept taking D linemen in the first round. So they are pretty deep at the line position, but I mean, Tre'Davious White's been out like all season to the point where like I don't know if it's the thing anymore. If Douglas can't go again, that would be unfortunate.
No, I think I seen a thing earlier that said Rajul might go. I think
so
they said they.
go. That's gonna be big. I think it comes down to can the Chiefs get anything out of Rashee Rice or Kelsey? You need one of those guys to step up. And if you're Buffalo, you can't count on a stupid Gabe Davis game. You can't count on Diggs figuring shit out.
But here's the thing: if the James Cook that played on this week shows up in this game, that's why I think they have the -2.5 is because of James, how good he looked.
Yep. What about the over/under 45.5?
Under. Let's just be honest. Sometimes it's really hard for KC to score points.
Yeah, and it can be hard for Buffalo too. We've seen some ugly Buffalo games. I think people see Allen Mahomes and they're like, "Oh, over. It's going over." But I think that's a little too obvious. So yeah, I like the under there. We'll agree on something.
No, we agree on both. KC plus 2.5.
Yep, KC plus 2.5, which is plus 100
under.
on DraftKings. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because if the Bills win some stupid ass like 1-point game, still get it.
See, it took 4 games, but we agreed on one.
Yeah. Watch it be wrong. The Bills just close the doors off.
Bills Mafia is gonna hate y'all.
They should, because I don't like them either.
Yeah, they're gonna like them.
Build a new stadium already. Stop postponing games. Play in it. You can't
get
brag
some
about
fucking-
being a cold weather team and then postpone your games.
Play it in the streets. All right. Hopefully, everybody that watched picked the games that you think you're gonna win money on. Hopefully, you win something. If you
If you
don't,
listened to our stuff last week and won something, let us know about it, because we want to know.
We did hit a lot last week.
I did really well last week. This one's a little more homerish, but hey, it's your choice on your bets, all right? I sometimes don't bet on my people because I want them to do good, and I have bad luck sometimes. But if you made it to this point, like, subscribe, drop your comments down below. Check out all of our other playlists on all content. Other than that, good luck, everybody. Good luck to your teams. We are out of here. Later.
Here we go.
How much I'm working for this? I swear my dreams are too important.